The New York Yankees might look overseas for offensive talent, and today we're going to break down the two top international free agents hitting the market from Japan, that being Kazuma Akamoto and Munetaka Murakami. These two sluggers are going to have pretty robust markets, and we're going to break down their profiles, their pros, their cons, all of that and more right here on Fireside Yankees, where we aim to not only present really informative content, but also entertain you guys and keep you guys up to date on what's going on with the Yankees at both the major league and minor league levels. We're going to have free agent profiles, prospect breakdowns, individual podcasts, and so much more right here on Fireside Yankees. You can check out our social media pages as well on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help. And if you guys don't notice, it's all free. So we would really appreciate your guys' continued support. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. Kazuma Akamoto is one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter, in the Nippon Baseball League. This past season in 69 games, he hit 15 home runs with 49 RBIs, hitting .327 with a .416 on base and a .598 slugging percentage. He was 110% better than the league average hitter according to WRC+, which tries to normalize for not only the run environment, but also the ballpark you play in. Over the last 3 seasons, he has been an incredible hitter, displaying unbelievable slugging prowess despite the fact that the balls aren't flying as much as they were in years past. The NPB is in a dead ball era. Hitters are struggling to generate power, struggling to hit at all as pitchers have continued to get better, and the NPB hasn't really seemed to change the baseballs or try and induce a more run-friendly environment. Akamoto is entering his age 30 season next year. He'll turn 30 in June, and for the Yankees, he would be a really good fit because of his right-handed power, which is something the Yankees could use without Paul Goldschmidt, Ahmed Rosario, or Austin Slater under contract for next season. The Yankees could look to bring back one of those 3 players on a cheap deal, or they could look to improve and supercharge their offense with Akamoto, who presents a contact-first approach while also generating a ton of power. It's even tough to say it's contact-first. Akamoto makes a ton of contact, and he doesn't strike out a lot, but he has a ton of power and pulls the ball a lot to left field for a right-handed hitter. The high ability to pull the ball in the air, the high pull rates, the high fly ball rates, the low ground ball rates, those are all things that entice me and I think are going to translate very well at the big league level. The Yankees are going to look at Akamoto as someone who can be a project bat, someone who isn't necessarily a guarantee to slug, but has all the tools and has all the skills to come over to the United States and become a really productive hitter. There are some concerns here. Number 1, he is entering his age 30 season. Number 2, while he did hit very well against fastballs at or above 94 miles per hour this year, in 2024, he wasn't as great against those pitches. You do wonder if the lack of velocity in the MPB compared to Major League Baseball will make Akamoto look a little worse or make his hit tool worse or make his overall power output worse. I'm not saying he's going to have that near 1,000 OPS translate to the big leagues, but when we talk about him from a skill set standpoint, is he still going to have an above average hit tool? Will he still be able to pull the ball in the air? Will he be able to pull the ball in the air without chasing too much? Those are all questions you have to ask for any hitter coming over from Japan to the major leagues, but Akamoto doesn't strike me as a once-in-a-generation, once-in-the-last 25 years kind of talent. He's more of a really darn good hitter, and some of those guys end up becoming stars at the big league level. Look at Seiya Suzuki. Seiya Suzuki was an example of a player who, I wouldn't consider once in a lifetime. This wasn't a Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Hideki Matsui, Ichiro Suzuki level talent, but he was a very, very, very good player, one of the best players in Japan, and he came over to the United States and became an absolute stud right-handed hitter. Not really a great defender, but tons of right-handed power. I wonder if Akamoto can fit into that similar profile, and when I try to compare hitters, and when we try to compare hitters in the NPB to the big leagues, I think it's important to note that we're just comparing offense. Total WAR value is very hard to predict because you're trying to figure out which hitters and which players are going to end up producing the most defensive value as they play the same position or a different position in the United States. But in the case of Akamoto, he has a strikeout rate that's higher than Masataka Yoshida's, so I wouldn't compare those hit tools. I think that Akamoto is going to strike out noticeably more than Yoshida does, and he has roughly a 13% strikeout rate, but he also had a better batted ball profile than Yoshida did, so I'm going to kind of sit here and say I think Akamoto will strike out roughly 22 to 22% of the time, a rather league average strikeout rate, but the power is where I think things could get really interesting here. Can he be a 20-plus home run hitter? Because if so, then we're going to be looking at someone who, in my opinion, is a firmly above average hitter, especially against left-handed pitching. Akamoto has pretty good raw power. He can hit the ball relatively hard. I like the skill set. I like the build. The question becomes if he's going to have a position on the Yankees. If the Yankees were to sign him, he'd probably have to play first base. He does have some corner outfield experience, but he didn't play it last year, and that's not really his primary position. His primary position has mostly been third base. He's played more third base in recent years than he's played first base, but I'm also not sure if he's a talented enough defender to stick at the position. Maybe what the Yankees can do is kind of have him rotate around the field, have him play some first base when Ben Rice is catching, have him play some third base against lefties, have him play some left field against lefties. If the Yankees use him in more of like a utility role, kind of that creative flexibility role, I like it. I like the idea of the Yankees signing players, adding more good players to the roster, and then figuring out what to do with them from there. Akamoto's bat-handedness and overall profile fit what the Yankees should be looking for. Good swing decisions, good bat to ball, really good power, a good feel for pulling the ball in the air, and honestly, a player who I don't think is going to need... I don't think Akamoto's going to come over here and strike out 40% of the time over any stretch of his big league career. He's going to come over here and he's going to give you professional at-bats while also having that home run power. So Akamoto, to me, much higher floor than Murakami, the safer player to bet on, and overall the player who I think fits the Yankees the most, but the player who's been connected to the Yankees the most in the last 3 or 4 years is Munetaka Murakami. This is a player who is entering his age 26 season this upcoming year in 2026, and it's fair to say that he is one of the most talented hitters in the NPB. He just wrapped up a year where he slashed 273, 379, 662, hitting 22 home runs in just 56 games. He is a premier, and I truly mean premier power hitter. I would argue that there is no player in the NPB who has the raw power and or game power that he possesses, but it also comes with an incredibly high strikeout rate, and that's not just a worry or a flaw. That could be the reason why he doesn't even compete really much at the major league level very much. He has 142 home runs since 2022. The closest person to him is Kazuma Akamoto at 113, but it's not really close. But at 540 strikeouts, he is second in all of MPB, and he's missed time. The guy in front of him strikes out less on a per rate basis, but strikes out more in terms of total volume because, well, he's played more games. So Murakami is not someone you can depend on to make contact at the big league level, and that is very concerning. His strikeout rate has only gotten worse as he's kind of played more in the NPB. There are concerns that he can't really handle velocity, and that would track with the increasing strikeout rates and decreasing contact rates. As the average fastball velocity has gone up, his strikeout rate, his swing and miss rate, his in-zone contact rate, they've all worsened. That all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the fact that he's continued to hit for so much power, pull the ball in the air, work walks. Like, you feel like maybe pro instruction and major league instructions, because the NPB is a very high level league, but you feel like maybe major league instruction, major league investment, all those things could result in Murakami being a more polished hitter, maybe picking up the bat speed needed, or figuring out those kinds of pitches. But you're going to invest a decent chunk of money on a project who, unlike Akamoto, is going to have to play first base for the Yankees. He is not, and I truly mean this, not a reliable option at third base. He is very error-prone. He makes a ton of mistakes there. Akamoto, I can see playing some third base at the major league level. I could see him playing some left field at the major league level. He moves better than Murakami does, I guess is the best way to put it. Not to say that Murakami is the slowest person on planet Earth, but his body clearly profiles for first base. He's not out of shape. He's just a little bit husky, like a strong guy, kind of like a Pete Alonso body type if we're comparing, kind of baseball players here. Pete Alonso's very much in shape. He's a great athlete. He's just not going to run very well, and he's not going to be someone you can put at third base. Alonso also came up, fun fact, he was a shortstop when he got drafted, I believe, or went to college. So I say all this to just say, Murakami is going to have to play a first base position or play DH. I don't know if that fits the Yankees roster unless they plan on playing Ben Rice permanently at catcher, which also isn't the best idea considering Ben Rice isn't necessarily the best defensive catcher in the world, and you'd have to maybe either A, trade Austin Wells or cap the amount of value you're getting out of him for a player who might not even be better than him. And look, that might sound crazy to say, like seeing all the hype around Murakami and saying, I think Austin Wells is a better baseball player, but again, it's contingent on defensive value. Murakami's not really a strong defender, and he's going to play first base, so that's a player who will provide likely negative defense at a position where defense is usually gets a very hefty or very like strong negative on in terms of wins above replacement. And then offensively, he might strike out 40% of the time. That's not out of the cards here. Like, he could strike out in 40% of at-bats. If you want to be a little more, optimistic, like, that strikeout rate's got to start at 30% for projections here. It's kind of like the Spencer Jones conversation where Spencer Jones, that strikeout rate has to start at 30% if you're talking about any big league projection. But the difference is Spencer Jones can play center field. That's a premium defensive position. He plays it well. Again, adds on to that. And he's a really good base runner. So Spencer Jones can be a league average hitter and be a productive big leaguer. If Murakami is a league average hitter, he is not going to be a productive big leaguer. He is going to be a bench player. He's going to be a player who you use solely against right-handed pitching. That's the other thing. If you have worries about his ability to hit in the big leagues, lefties are going to eat him alive probably. So there are so many questions with this fit here. I don't think Murakami fits the Yankees very well. Again, unless they fully believe that Ben Rice will become a better defensive catcher, that he will be a good defensive catcher, and that Murakami can make some massive leap over the offseason. Like, there's a lot of ifs here. There's a lot of stretches. There's a lot of massive gains in player development. The kinds of gains that I would sit here in, like, August and tell you was unbelievable, and really you couldn't expect it or bank on it, and it ended up happening. It's kind of like betting on Trent Grisham to hit like 30 home runs again. It's possible, I guess, but it's not the likeliest outcome, and that's why the Yankees aren't going to re-sign him. So, like, we're banking on hypotheticals for Murakami to fit the Yankee roster. I don't think that's a strong idea for the Yankees and what they're trying to do. Again, Murakami is a phenomenally talented hitter. I think that he does belong in the big leagues. I think that someone should sign him. I just don't think that fit works with the Yankees. He's not as versatile as Akamoto. He's not right-handed like Akamoto. He is younger. He does have a higher ceiling. Like, if Murakami ever struck out 28% of the time, let's say, he would probably be a, like, 130 OPS plus player. And at that point in time, we're just talking about, like, Ben Rice with more strikeouts and more game power in terms of, like, WAR equivalents. The difference is, again, like, that's a very unlikely outcome at this point in time for Murakami, and it will require, years of development in the big leagues. It might require, getting playing time and being absolutely terrible. It might require a team sitting back and saying, we'll start you in the minor leagues, and then we'll get you back in the big leagues. Kind of like what the Dodgers did with Hye-Sung Kim, that being Hye, not Ha-Sung Kim, who was with the Padres and now the Rays and the Braves. Again, it's to say that, like, that is a lot of money that you might be looking to spend on Murakami for him to not be a ready big leaguer on day one, whereas Akamoto should be a competitive big leaguer on day one. Like, the second he steps on a big league field, you should expect him to produce above average major league offense and passable defense at 3 different positions. That is way more valuable to the Yankees from the right-handed side than the opposite, the more unsure, unsafe, way lower floor outcome and pigeonholed to just one position or DH. That's just my 50 cents on it. I would like to know what you guys think, though, about Murakami. I think in terms of contracts, like, the issue with Akamoto is that Masataka Yoshida got $90 million. Now, Masataka Yoshida was considered a better baseball player, or was considered, you could argue he was a better baseball player when he got posted. But he still did get $90 million. Akamoto is probably going to ask for a similar sum of money, or is going to want a similar sum of money because he is represented by Scott Boras. I think the Yankees should be in, if they sign Bellinger, let's say they don't sign Tucker, they sign Bellinger, they should be in on this at like $15 million a year. I wouldn't pay much more than that, and I would like options to get out of the contract if needed. I don't want this to be a player I have until his age 36 season. I wonder if other teams will be more aggressive in that bidding. That leads me to believe, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Yankees are going to be favorites for both. I think the Mets could use them, the Mariners, the Red Sox, like, the Dodgers. There are a lot of teams that could use, right-handed power and a player who can play multiple positions. Like, unlike Murakami, Akamoto's primary position is third base, just like Murakami, but he's played a good chunk of first base as well. And again, he has that other position in left field, although he didn't play it this past year. I wonder again if other teams are going to just say, hey, I can play you in right field. I might be able to play you on left field. I can play you at third, first. Like, that's 4 positions and DH. Like, that's a player I want on my ball club. I just wonder if the Yankees will be that aggressive for Akamoto. Don't have to give up draft picks. That's nice. For Murakami, I'm not even 100% sure he gets a multi-year deal. I think a team would want to take the risk, but I don't think that will be the Yankees if the money is significant. If the money's insignificant, then maybe the Yankees do. But at that point, if you're, Murakami, do you just stay in Japan and make maybe more money or as much money and not have to worry about traveling over to the United States and all that? Again, it's going to be very interesting to see Murakami and Akamoto's markets. If I'm the Yankees, I sign Akamoto. I think Akamoto is a perfect fit for this team because he's versatile. I think if you're signing Bellinger, that means the Yankees are leaning into versatility and, I'm going to be honest, leaning into cheapness. But that's neither here nor there. If they spend around that, I can live with it. Again, I think the idea of a versatile right-handed hitter who can provide contact and power, that's replacing Paul Goldschmidt, basically. And I liked how Goldschmidt fit on this roster. So, again, we'd like to know what you guys think in the comment section below. My name is Ryan Garcia. You guys can check out Fireside Yankees on all of your favorite social media platforms, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and, of course, this YouTube page. You guys can also check us out on EmpireSportsMedia.com. The written coverage of the New York Yankees and all of your favorite New York sports teams are there. I write on there, but I'm not the only writer, and I wouldn't even say I'm the best writer on there. And finally, I'd like to point out that my Twitter account is at Ryan Garcia ESM, and you can follow me for my takes and more there. Thank you again for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go Yankees. Peace out.
Perfect.